Hey guys, so I'm back with another requested review. Now, this one is once again from Clara Boswald and Death in Heaven. And they request, well, Clara Boswald, both of them requested I do all the Master episodes. All the new Who Master episodes. And where better to start than with the Master Trilogy, what I like to call the Master Trilogy, which includes the original 3 episodes with the Master in New Who. This includes Utopia, Sound of the Drums. Wait. Oh, yes! Yes! Oh, good choice. Good choice. Yes. Utopia and Sound of the Drums. That is a brilliant choice. I can't wait to review it. What was the last one? I can't remember. It must be great because it can't go downhill from those 2 episodes. Let's see. No. No. Maybe I'm reading this wrong. I can't be. No. Oh. Last of the Time Lords. Oh, God. I will not do this. I will not review that terrible episode. I will not. Don't you dare. Don't you dare roll the intro. Don't you dare. Don't you. No. I see you doing it. Do not. Oh, hello there. Oh, God. Oh, God. God, no. No. Okay, well, the first ones, before we get to that terrible one, let's get to the good ones. Okay, so let's get to Utopia. Utopia was only a little bit less than perfect. I really liked Utopia. Now, Utopia really continued the streak of phenomenal episodes, and if not for this horrible finale, like you guys, a lot of you guys absolutely tear up the Wedding of River song. The Wedding of River song was like the waters of Mars compared to Last of the Time Lords. And Wedding of River song wasn't even my second least favorite finale. My second least favorite finale was the newest finale, Death in Heaven. I absolutely hated that episode. But wow, this is the worst of the finales. The Last of the Time Lords is the worst of the finales. But let's get to Utopia first. Utopia, Utopia showed the return of the awesome Captain Jack Harkness, and who I love. He at the time was my favorite New Who companion up until Donna came along as the full-time companion. I didn't like Donna at first in The Runaway Bride, but I liked her. I loved her when she in series 4. But at this point, Jack Harkness was my favorite New Who companion, so he's great as always in this awesome Utopia episode. Now, Utopia did tend to drag just a tiny bit, which is why I'd give it a 9.5 out of 10. But overall, I think it was great. I mean, I really loved that thing about Professor Giannis. The concept was pretty brilliant. It seemed like not really much was going on, but they had Professor Giannis, and his reveal that he was the Master was, just so brilliant. I loved it. I mean, wow. I mean, I was shocked. My jaw was just dropped open when he said, "I am the Master." That was just a brilliant way to bring back the Master from the classic series. I just love that. So, Utopia gets a 9.5 out of 10. But now, hey guys, before I continue, I want you guys, if you guys could please go subscribe to a friend of mine, Brachial44, I would appreciate that. But now continuing on with the review. So, the next episode is Sound of the Drums, and this episode was brilliant. Oh gosh, they basically take everything away from the Doctor, and it's basically the entire world, at least the entire country is up against him, and he doesn't have his TARDIS, he doesn't have anything. So it's just brilliant. I mean, It's basically like a witch hunt throughout the entire episode, and it's just brilliant. I mean, it had me at the edge of my seat. I mean, there were legitimately times when I thought, how is he going to get out of this? Like, literally, how is he going to get out of this? And oh my gosh, that was just brilliant. So, Sound of the Drums gets an easy 10 out of 10. It's really hard to go downhill from such an easy 10 out of 10 type of episode, right? Well, not exactly. There are still ways you can infinitely go downhill. That can certainly be proved by this next episode. Oh God, no, don't make me do this. No. Oh God. Here it is. Sound of the Drums. 3 out of 10. Yes, it is that bad. It is terrible. I hate this episode. I hate this episode so freaking much. So freaking much. Oh, ugh. I want to give it less. You know what? I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 10. Yeah, because that's how bad it is. That is how mind-bogglingly bad this episode is a 2.5 out of 10. It is terrible. How did you go from Sound of the Drums to this, Russell T. Davies? How? Oh my gosh. And Series 3 was going so well. Well, the first half was kind of meh, but then right when we got to Human Nature, that's where the series basically started, to kick up, to go on and be just... The series was just becoming great after Human Nature. I mean, it had oh my gosh. I mean, you had Human Nature, then a week later, we got Family of Blood. Those were two-parters, brilliant. Then you got my favorite episode of all of New Who, which is Blink, 1 week later. Then 1 week after that, you get Utopia, which had the awesome master reveal. And then a week after that, you get the even more brilliant Sound of the Drums. And then you get this, which is the worst finale of all time. And if this had been at least half as good as those 5 episodes before it had been, then Series 3 may have been my favorite series. I mean, really, this episode completely ruined the series. Oh my gosh. So where do I start? Okay, first off, this is one of the most boring episodes I've ever watched. There is literally nothing that happens until the last 15 minutes of the episode. But, I mean, the first half just drags like crap. Okay, now, second of all, yes, the Master is great. The Master is great in this episode. But next, you have the Doctor, who is sidelined throughout the entire thing, which would be fine in episodes like Blink. But this is a finale. This is a Doctor Who finale. In case you haven't noticed, the show is called Doctor Who, not Martha Who. So you should not have given Martha a bigger role than the Doctor. And also, up until the Face of Bo reveal, Jack was completely forgettable. He was completely forgettable, and I'm a huge Harkness fan. And I almost forgot about him up until he reveals he was the Face of Bo. And that Face of Bo thing, even though it was shocking, it was incredibly forced on the audience. And I know I'm going into a big rant about this, but it's terrible. And usually I don't care about the CGI on Doctor Who. I really usually don't. But the CGI here was just so distracting and just so terrible. And what I'm talking about is that, look, I didn't mind the Doctor really old. They had already established that plot point. But then the Master comes out and says, "Oh, well, what if we showed your true age, Doctor?" And then he turns him into a badly CGI'd hobbit. And it's supposed to be, what the Doctor would look like today if he never regenerated. That is not what the Doctor would look like. If you were 900 years old and you could never regenerate, you would not turn into a badly CGI'd hobbit. You'd just be a corpse. You'd be dead. You wouldn't turn into a small little CGI hobbit thingy. You wouldn't turn into Dobby from Harry Potter. No, no, you would not. But what really made me mad about this finale was the Archangel Network. I know they explained it. I know the resolution. They explained the resolution. It was terrible. I hated it. I just hated it. Oh, God. What happens is, Martha gets the entire world to say the Doctor, and they just chant his name, and then he goes from the Hobbit into, he goes from Schmeagol. All of a sudden, he turns back into himself in Super Smash Brawl form, because apparently, and that's the stupidest thing. Oh, let's chant their names. And then the Doctor goes up to the Master and says, "Oh, do you still think the human race is Master? Oh yeah, they only chanted his name. I mean, yeah, of course. Like, it's not like every other living species on Earth and in the entire galaxy could do that. I mean, really. I mean, oh gosh, this was just so stupid." And I wanted to burst out in laughter when he got resurrected. That was the stupidest scene of all time. One of the stupidest scenes in Doctor Who. And when he had him, I'm not a huge gaming expert, but he looked like he was from Super Smash Brawl. You know, where you die and then you get resurrected in a giant bubble, and up until the bubble pops, nobody can hurt you. It was so stupid. And then all of a sudden his clothes just happened to be back on. Oh, and then what's really stupid is, I'm not trying to hate Russell T Davies here. He and Stephen Moffat are equal in my opinion. But what I never liked about Russell T Davies' episode, he allowed no blood whatsoever. And I'm not expecting there to be, oh, I want blood and guts in every episode of Doctor Who. No, I'm not saying that. But you can still have like a little bit of blood and still have it at a PG-ish audience. I mean, like, this was an episode where there should have been blood, because the Master, when he got shot, he dies from being shot, yet there's no blood whatsoever. That's so stupid. So stupid. And it was so stupid how his wife killed him. That was just the dumbest thing. But luckily, the one beautiful scene in this entire episode was when the Master is dying in the Doctor's arms, and he says to the Doctor, "I win." I love that scene. That scene was brilliant. And that was the only good... Well, there was also a scene that I did kind of like, which was where Martha left the Doctor. I thought that was a pretty sweet scene, but that was completely ruined by the Titanic crashing into the Doctor's TARDIS. And my God, I'm sorry there's so much rage, but I hated this episode. I hated this episode, and it completely ruined what was turning into a brilliant Master trilogy. So, Last of the Time Lords gets a 2.5 out of 10. But I was gonna give it a 3 out of 10. But you know what? Now that I've gone over all the terrible things, 2.5 out of 10. Okay, I'm really sorry for the rage at the very end of this review, but I mean, I just hated this episode. It's my least favorite finale. I personally had mixed feelings. I know a lot of people love the Wedding of River song. Some people hate it. I personally had mixed feelings, but I didn't think it was as bad as Death in Heaven and this. This is the worst finale of the entire series, and this is the perhaps the third or fourth worst episode of the entire series. It wasn't as bad as Fear Her and Love and Monsters. Those episodes were terrible. I hated Monsters, as I'm sure everybody did. Love and Monsters is my least favorite episode. Fear Her is my second least favorite episode. And then my third, we either have to be this or The Idiot's Lantern. I hated The Idiot's Lantern, and Mark Gatiss is, I'm sorry, he's a sucky. He's a talented writer, but he's not good at writing Doctor Who, and he did a terrible episode this season called The Lazarus Experiment. My gosh, it's just... Oh God, I'm so so angry. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.